And welcome to our special coverage of the Iowa Republican caucuses, the first primary contest in the nation. In a few hours, the GOP will be one step closer to choosing a nominee to take on President Biden. Today, the candidates are making their closing pitches to caucus.
The headlines out of Iowa: it is caucus day and it is cold. The question is, how do the two work together? Yeah, and as I'm with Chad Myers, I'm worried about the livestock here.
Livestock does not get to vote, not even in Iowa, Caitlin.
John Bourbon, as always, thank you so much for that. Thank you all so much for joining us. Our special coverage of all of this is going to continue, including the weather, with Wolf Blitzer and Aaron Burnett right now.
All right, it is here, Decision Day in Iowa. Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Burnett in Washington.
And I'm Wolf Blitzer in New York. We want to welcome you to CNN's special live coverage of the Iowa caucuses. We are counting down to the official start of the first contest in the Republican presidential race.
And we just want to confuse people, Wolf, right? I'm in Washington, you're in New York.
This is the moment the 2024 presidential race here in the United States truly begins. Good evening. I'm Wolf Blitzer.
And I'm Aaron Burnett, and welcome to CNN's special coverage of the Iowa caucuses. Wolf, we are standing by finally for the first votes.
Yeah, we've been waiting a long time. Today's call.
And the breaking news, the doors at caucus sites across Iowa are beginning to open at this hour. Good evening. I'm Aaron Burnett in Washington.
And I'm Wolf Blitzer in New York. Welcome to CNN's special coverage of the Iowa caucuses. We are counting down to the first votes of this election, a truly, truly historic night. To our viewers, thanks very much for watching. We're just moments away from getting the first entrance poll results from Iowa as people gather across the state for caucus night. Our special coverage will continue right now.
This is it, the official kickoff of the 2024 battle for the White House, and one state has the first shot at shaping the race.
It's decision time in the bitter cold heartland.
Iowa has a huge role to play here.
This starts here.
There's no way that Iowa is voting against Trump.
The first votes in a presidential contest that's testing American democracy in extraordinary ways.
Are you ready?
Will a former president in unprecedented legal peril get one step closer to a White House comeback?
2024 is our final battle.
It's Iowa's choice. Tonight, after months of anticipation, the Republican race gets real. Donald Trump aiming to drive home his dominance over his GOP rivals.
We gotta be sure that we put this thing away.
Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley.
Our best days are yet to come.
Engaging in a heated showdown to be the top alternative to Trump.
Nikki Haley is running on her donors' issues. I'm the only one running on your issues.
If he's gonna lie about me, I'm gonna tell you the truth about him.
The candidates at the back of the pack, fighting to hold on and get their messages out.
I see a Republican Party that has grown lazy.
Who will be left standing after Iowa votes?
I'm asking for your support.
And can anyone stop Trump from winning the nomination?
These losing candidates are not going anywhere.
He's his own worst enemy by not being able to control his mouth.
Now, it's time for voters to have their say.
Don't complain about what happens in a general election if you don't play in this caucus.
Iowa could shake up the political landscape or lay the groundwork for a divisive rematch.
We will evict Joe Biden from the White House.
2024 is here, and the first contest is getting underway right now.
You are looking at live pictures of the Iowa State Capitol in Des Moines on the coldest Iowa caucus night on record with dangerous sub-zero temperatures. But dedicated voters are braving the elements tonight to declare their choice for the Republican presidential nomination. Welcome to CNN's live special coverage of the Iowa caucuses. I'm Anderson Cooper.
And I'm Jake Tapper in the CNN Election Center. Less than an hour from now, the action begins in the first pivotal contest of the 2024 race for the White House. 5 major GOP candidates are officially in the running, but the battle for Iowa is expected to come down to this: the clear frontrunner, Donald Trump, versus the rivals who are essentially fighting this evening for second place, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, all of them with the shared goal of defeating President Joe Biden in November. Soon we're going to bring you the first results from our entrance poll of Iowans as they're heading into the caucuses. These will be early clues about what they're thinking as they make their choices. Our anchors and correspondents are on the scene. They're inside caucus sites where votes will be cast and counted, and they're at the candidates' headquarters as this consequential night unfolds. And we count down to the start of the caucuses and the first critical votes in Iowa. Let's go to my colleague Dana Bash. She's at a caucus site in Clive, Iowa, just outside.
Kind of emulate what Ted Cruz did in his victory in Iowa. All huge questions
Right,
tonight.
and we can get such a picture of all of this tonight when we start to see these entrance polls, but also when we start to see which counties, where does Trump well, do we see any of these changes on the suburban side of things? Jake, we're going to be getting all of this with some of these entrance polls, maybe a tease, and then a lot of these numbers tonight.
All right, we'll be right back with our CNN live coverage of the Iowa caucuses right after this.
I'm Eva McKend in Des Moines, Iowa, and this is CNN.
Images inside an... And we have another key race alert for you now. Let's check in with the actual votes coming in from the Iowa caucuses. It's only 1% of the estimated vote that's come in, but Donald Trump with the come in. A huge victory for Donald Trump tonight in the first contest of the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump, the overwhelming favorite of Iowa Republicans to challenge President Biden in November, winning by a historically strong margin. We saw Trump a short while ago thanking his supporters.
Well, the weather was frightful and the result delightful. I mean, that is if your name is Donald Trump. The first in the nation state did its thing, and that thing is telling us this Republican Party wants to make the former president.
Really hinting at something very sinister there. Up next for us, we'll take a look at the differences between the Iowa and New Hampshire electorates, and they're big. Stand by.
It's zero. It's zero. So if that history holds, New Hampshire in a week may have something very different than Iowa said tonight.
I love a whole slide devoted to zero. Only you, Harry Anton. Zero. What number was it again?
Zero.
Zero. All right, well, thank you. Coming up next here, Donald Trump's surprising words for his opponents tonight. And they are pretty surprising after, of course, months and months, some would say years, of attacks. Well, good night or good morning. It's 2 a.m. right here on the East Coast. It's 1 a.m. in Iowa, where Donald Trump has been declared the winner. A record-shattering win for the former president conjures up a pretty big question. Is this race over after it's barely begun? I'm Laura Coates right here in New York.
And I'm Abby Phillip here in Washington, and you are watching CNN's special live coverage of the Iowa caucuses. Now, the results out of the Hawkeye state are echoing across the nation, but what exactly is the message that voters sent tonight?
Well, rumors of Donald Trump's dominance are not greatly exaggerated. It turns out the polls were spot on. And Iowa really likes the former president. You're watching CNN special live coverage of the Iowa caucuses. I'm Laura Coates in New York.
And I'm Abby Phillip in Washington, and it does turn out that the politics of vengeance apparently sells. Just this weekend, Trump told Iowa that 2020